thanks a lot for talking to us today, the day it became clear that Britain went into its first non-COVID recession in 15 years. Is your strategy working?
Well, we have always expected that we would have weaker growth while we were tackling inflation at over 11%. It's not possible for an economy to grow healthily or sustainably when you have that inflation, and the only way you can really tackle that is with higher interest rates. And that was the right thing to do because families up and down the country really suffer with high inflation. It pushes up the cost of living, the cost of filling up a tank of petrol, energy bills go up, and so we were right to do that. And, you know, of course, this data is very challenging, but the underlying picture is that that battle against inflation is succeeding faster than many people thought. People thought that we weren't going to get back down to 2% for another year. It now looks like we'll do that in the next few months. And when that happens, if we stick to our guns, stick to this difficult but correct course, what we will see is that the Bank of England is then able to reduce interest rates, reduce the pressure on the economy, and we could start growing more healthily.
Your press release responding to this recession news very much focused on the Bank of England. The Bank of England, it's almost unanimously agreed now, was very late to recognise inflationary dangers. Are they now late in terms of recognising the impact of their high interest rates on the economy? Isn't it time the Bank of England cut rates, and soon?
Well, I think our system depends on, and rightly depends on, the Bank of England operating independently from politicians. So I don't comment on their decisions because I don't think you or GBNews listeners would want a system where there could be any kind of political involvement in those interest rate decisions. What I will say is that the increases in interest rates that we've had have succeeded in bringing down inflation from 11% to 4%. And we are now seeing, if you look at the debate inside the Monetary Policy Committee, increasing numbers there thinking that the time may come sooner to bring down interest rates. We must leave them to make that decision, but for people at home saying, how long is this going to go on for, what the independent forecasters in the market say is that within a matter of months we could see interest rates starting to fall, and I think that will give some encouragement.
Now, many GBNews viewers and listeners are self-employed, run small businesses, and all businesses, as you know well, pay corporation tax. When you stood to be Tory leader, you wanted a 15% rate of corporation tax. I remember you telling me you wanted a 12.5% rate of corporation tax, asking me about how they did it in Ireland, a country I know well, and yet you've put corporation tax up to 25%. Wasn't that a mistake?
Well, we had a situation in which we had to balance the books, otherwise the markets wouldn't have confidence in the UK economy, our debt interest would have soared up and we'd have had even higher taxes. But I do agree with you 100%. I have not changed my position that our future as a country is to have the most competitive business taxes in the world. And that's why in the autumn statement we cut corporation tax. We didn't cut the headline rate, but we did it through this thing called capital allowances.
Small businesses can't take advantage of free expensing. They haven't got the balance sheet to raise the finance to take account of.
Well, let me tell you what I did for people who are self-employed. I abolished an entire class of national insurance. I reduced national insurance for people who are self-employed by 1%. That's an average reduction of £350 a year for someone who's self-employed. So they are the lifeblood of the economy. We're doing everything we can. Small businesses that own pubs or high street shops, they saw their business rates reduced by 75% for another year. So we're doing everything we can to support businesses, and yes, we do want to bring down taxes because we want to encourage investment in the economy.
The headline rate of national insurance did come down, but you know, and the OBR confirmed that actually the tax burden went up because of stealth taxes, because of fiscal drag, people being dragged into higher tax brackets, middle-ranking teachers and public sector officials now paying the higher rate of income tax. That's not very conservative. A 70-year high in the tax burden isn't very conservative, is it?
Well, I think it was right to support businesses up and down the country during the pandemic with the furlough scheme and other support, and it was right to support families in the cost of living crisis where we paid on average about half people's energy bills. Those cost hundreds of billions of pounds. And because we took those difficult decisions, we have seen unemployment remain at historically low levels. But it does have to be paid for. And I've never hidden from the fact that I had to increase taxes in my first autumn statement as Chancellor. But nor have I ever said anything other than I think that the most successful economies in the long run have lighter taxes. And as soon as the chance arose, I would start to bring down the tax burden. And that's what I started to do in the autumn statement last year.
And final question, if I may. The 6th of March is your budget statement. Do you feel under pressure? It's pretty much make or break for the Prime Minister's leadership, isn't it? For your party's ability to properly contest the next election.
Well, what the Prime Minister and I both think is that the most important thing for families up and down the country is that they can see that there is a party that has a plan, that's sticking to that plan. And by the way, that is a very big contrast to the Labour Party that doesn't have an economic plan. They just junked the key central plank of their economic policy. And independent forecasters say if we stick to that plan, we'll get inflation right down, interest rates could start to fall in a matter of months. And that is the thing that matters most to families. When they're making a choice for the future of this country, they want to know that they have people who will do the right thing, even if it's not always the easy thing.
Chancellor, thanks a lot for talking to us on GBNews.
Thank you.